The birth of America is not just about the founding of a nation, but a revolution that profoundly shaped the course of world history. The emergence of the United States was the result of a series of events that unfolded in the late 18th century, when European settlers moved to the New World, seeking better opportunities and freedom. These efforts laid the foundation for a new nation that would soon challenge the world order. In 1492, when Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic and reached the Americas, it marked the beginning of European exploration and colonization. Columbus's journey led to an influx of European settlers, including the Spanish, French, and English, all vying for control of the new lands. England, in particular, began to establish its colonies along the eastern coast of what would become the United States. The first successful colony, Jamestown, was founded in 1607, and over the following decades, 13 colonies were established, stretching from New England in the north to Georgia in the south. By the mid-18th century, tensions were growing between the American colonies and their colonial ruler, Britain. The British government imposed a series of taxes and trade restrictions on the colonies to help pay for its debts from wars fought abroad, including the French and Indian War. In 1765, the British Parliament passed the Sugar Act, followed by the Stamp Act in 1765, which taxed the colonists on everyday items such as paper, newspapers, and playing cards. These acts were seen as an unfair burden by the colonists, who had no representation in the British government. This led to widespread protests and the slogan "No taxation without representation." In 1773, tensions reached a breaking point when a group of colonists, protesting a tax on tea, dumped an entire shipment of British tea into Boston Harbor in what became known as the Boston Tea Party. This act of defiance was one of the major events that pushed the colonies toward rebellion. The British responded with harsh measures, further alienating the colonists and driving them toward independence. In 1775, the first shots of the American Revolution were fired at Lexington and Concord, marking the beginning of armed conflict between the colonies and Britain. The Revolutionary War would continue for 8 long years. In 1776, the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia and, after much debate, declared the colonies' independence from Britain. The Declaration of Independence, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson, eloquently stated the reasons for the colonies' decision to break away, emphasizing the inherent rights of all people to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence was a bold statement that not only severed political ties with Britain, but also set the philosophical foundation for the new nation. It articulated the belief in the natural rights of individuals, asserting that all men are created equal and have unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This idea would inspire not only Americans, but also revolutions around the world in the centuries that followed. As the revolution raged on, the American colonies faced tremendous challenges. The British Army, with its superior training, experience, and resources, seemed an overwhelming force. However, the colonists had the advantage of fighting on their home turf, and their commitment to independence gave them a resolve that proved difficult for the British to break. Additionally, the Americans received crucial support from France, who saw the revolution as an opportunity to weaken their British rivals. The war was long and grueling, but in 1781, after the decisive Battle of Yorktown, the British Army, led by General Cornwallis, surrendered. This effectively ended the war, though formal peace negotiations would continue until the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783. The treaty recognized the sovereignty of the United States and established its borders, granting the new nation territory from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River, and from Canada to Florida. In the aftermath of the war, the newly independent states faced the task of creating a stable government. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1781, created a loose confederation of states but proved ineffective in dealing with the nation's financial and political challenges. In 1787, a constitutional convention was held in Philadelphia to address these issues. The result was the U.S. Constitution, which established a strong federal government with checks and balances to prevent any one branch from gaining too much power. The Constitution was ratified in 1788, and the Bill of Rights, a set of 10 amendments guaranteeing individual freedoms, was added in 1791. With the formation of the new government, the United States embarked on its journey as an independent nation. The success of the American Revolution and the establishment of a democratic government inspired movements for liberty and self-determination around the globe. The principles of the American Revolution, liberty, equality, and democracy, would continue to shape the course of world history for centuries to come.